Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This session is part of my All About Aromatherapy knowledge videos and focuses on the middle notes of essential oils. As part of my relearning experience, which I'm sharing with you on my channel, I am revisiting the knowledge side of aromatherapy, which I know is of particular interest for some of the viewers who are really interested in aromatherapy. So it's useful for me to research these oils again and look at the uses and the benefits of these essential oils. So there are a number of ways of categorizing essential oils, and one of those is by putting the oils into a top, middle and base note range, and putting a blend together by using a top, middle and base note ratio is popular in both aromatherapy and indeed in perfumery as well. So this basically means that the blend is put together with a range of oils or scents that will come into play at different times. Using the top, middle and base note method is a helpful guide for those who are starting out in aromatherapy when you need to build or rebuild, in my case, the knowledge side of aromatherapy, and indeed to build up your confidence in putting blends together in order to do treatments either on your family and friends, on yourself, or indeed if you're preparing to start a business, on clients. Once you become familiar with the oils and you've built up your knowledge again, how they blend together doesn't need to be quite so rigid. This method is just used so that you've got some sort of structure in your learning and your knowledge, but once you've got that, you can then be a little bit more creative once you get very familiar with the scents and how they blend together in particular. So if you feel a particular situation warrants that you can be creative and you only want to use 3 middle notes, for example, as long as you have researched them and they blend well together, then that's perfectly acceptable. You need to obviously be aware of your client needs, and you need to have that knowledge of your oils and really be aware of any precautions that you need to take in terms of the oils that you're using. So the middle note of a blend is the main body of the blend, and it's very important because it binds all of the notes together. So the middle notes will last longer than the top note, and they will last less time than the base notes, which we looked at in a previous session. Many of these middle notes are herbal and floral and very beneficial. They've got lots of therapeutic values to them, both for the mind and the body. Various ones help to calm, de-stress, reduce pain, and some invigorate and enhance the atmosphere, depending on the oils that you choose to use. And in this video, I will be looking at the benefits and uses of the following oils: Citronella, Roman chamomile, clove, cypress, geranium, juniperberry, and lavender. Just a note of caution, as always, when you are using essential oils, some of them are very powerful. So, in particular, if you are under a healthcare practitioner for ongoing chronic illness, or indeed if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, then you do need to take care. So always seek advice or do your research very thoroughly when using these essential oils. If I'm aware of contraindications while we're talking about these particular oils, I will obviously highlight that to you when we're discussing those oils. Right, let's start with increasing our knowledge now of those middle notes of essential oils. So you're probably wondering why I've got my little tray here. I call it my little demo tray. And hopefully it will help me explain some of the benefits and uses in particular of some of these oils. So I'm going to take my first batch off and we're going to look at Citronella to start with. And if you're wondering why I've got these porcelain trays here, this is because some of you may have been aware when you open essential oils they can get everywhere and they seep in very quickly into anything that you have lying around. And I find with these porcelain trays the oil remains contained and then you literally can wipe them out at the end with tissue. So Citronella is one of those oils that you might be familiar with. It's got a very powerful lemony aroma and it's a great oil to clarify and help you feel almost refreshed. It is familiar because it can be used in household cleaning products and often you do smell it in insect repellents. It is steam distilled from the grass of the Citronella plants and it's naturally antibacterial and that gives it that sort of clarifying aroma. This one in particular is sourced from Sri Lanka, but they come from all areas in the world. But this one in particular is from Sri Lanka. And it has a number of uses. So, for example, you could create your own room fragrance, for example, with 3 drops of Citronella, just in a little bit of water. And because that is quite a powerful smell, I would tend to add in some other oils to balance that out. So possibly got cedarwood there, just a couple of drops of that. And maybe 1 drop of eucalyptus. Two drops went in there. Very hard sometimes to get the exact amount, but as long as you don't overdo it, you're still absolutely fine. And that way you can create your own insect repellent using that mix. And you can literally just pop this into a diffuser. Okay. There is a cautionary note on using Citronella if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. So if you're wanting to use the insect repellent to put outside when you're doing a barbecue and you've got a diffuser, get someone else to put the oils in there and you stay away from them. Okay, so that's Citronella. So the next oil that I want to talk to you about is Roman Chamomile. So quite a few people have been exposed to chamomile, and it's one of the most popular aromatherapy oils, thanks really to its therapeutic properties, which you may have heard about. It helps to provide a calm, soothing atmosphere and helps to balance both the mind and the body, helps to relieve tension and irritability. Has a lovely mild scent. It's steam distilled from the chamomile flower heads. It's got a warm, sweet scent. It is often priced slightly higher, particularly this Roman chamomile one. And the reason for that is it's harvested from small flower heads, which you actually don't get a lot of essential oil from. So it's obviously labour intensive, and that is reflected in the cost. But it is so good in particular for dry or sensitive skin. So it's often used in facial products. So you could use it if you're trying to create a nice calming atmosphere. Nothing beats a nice warm bath. So what you could do is get some sweet almond carrier oil and put that, it's my teaspoon method, literally pop that into a teaspoon and then add in 3 drops, 3 drops I think of this, and then 1, 2, 3. And then what you could do, which I think is a very nice blend, is lavender, which we're going to look at lavender later, but actually adding that in. Makes it a nice blend. Okay, that does smell nice. And don't worry, this all gets used up in various means. So nothing gets wasted, it all gets used up again in some way or other, by either myself or the rest of my family. Okay, right, so that's Roman chamomile. Now, one thing I wanted to cover with Roman chamomile is some of these new products that are on the market called hydrosols. And some of you may have seen some of my other videos where I'm using the lavender floral water, which is really clarifying and great as a toner. And there is one available for chamomile as well. And some of you may have heard me discussing Absolute Aroma products, and they do a chamomile version, but I'm going to talk to you about the lavender version a little bit later. But the hydrosol element is just, when they're talking about using hydrosols, it's the condensed water that's left behind after the chamomile oil has been extracted. So it's the water that's left behind, and it's really, really good for use on the skin, the face, or the hair. And as I said, I'll talk about the lavender version a little bit later because I can demonstrate that a little bit easier. Another note of caution on using chamomile, the Roman chamomile in particular, don't use in the first 3 months of pregnancy. So if you are trying to get pregnant, obviously avoid this one and maybe use an alternative. Lavender is a good alternative. In many instances, lots of these oils are not recommended during pregnancy and breastfeeding, so please do your research on those ones. There are only a few oils that are recommended during those times, and also the recommendation is for them to be heavily diluted, so make sure that you do put those into a carrier oil. So the next oil I want to talk to you about is clove bud oil, and I do need my bottle of water to demonstrate this one. So let's smell the oil first, just to remind me of this. And it's got a sweet, spicy, slightly fruity scent to it, and it does have very soothing benefits for the body. Also, it can be quite invigorating. The oil itself is distilled from the clove buds and is a versatile oil. It's used extensively in perfumes and in dental care, funny enough. It is naturally antibacterial and a great oil to have at home to help alleviate stubborn and unpleasant odours. You can use it for that. It's sourced from the evergreen tree with green and red flowers. I've seen some really wonderful pictures of that tree. The green buds appear at the beginning of the rainy season, and before they open, they are picked from the tree and left to dry in the sun. And this one is sourced from Indonesia. So, little note of caution here, do use a 1% blend only, and the reason for that is it can cause sensitization. So in particular, if you've got scratches or sort of damaged skin, there is a cautionary note for those with blood clotting disorders to just be wary of using it, and it's not suitable to be used for young children. So one of the reasons I have my bowl out is because clove buds oil is really helpful when you've got general aches and pains. So literally, if you want to add to a bowl of slightly warm, hand warm water, and you drop in some clove bud oil, and just because it is quite a powerful smell, I would add the pleasant smell of lavender. You don't need much at all. There we go. So maybe a couple of drops of lavender in there. And then what I would do, just for your general aches and pains, I would dip in a flannel. Make sure the water, is warm. And then, for example, if you've got a scratch, I would literally just pop that over there. It takes the sting away. Nice warming, but with that scent as well. Actually, those two oils go extremely well together. Okay, just pop this to one side. Anecdotally, it can be used toothache, and I've actually used it for toothache, but my dentist says that there's no evidence to support that. But I don't know, there is an overwhelming amount of anecdotal evidence, but I'm sure that needs to be researched further. So the next oil I want to cover with you is Cypress. Cypress has, it's quite fresh, a very sort of clearing and woody aroma. It's a great oil for calming the mind and body, often used to soothe overworked muscles and joints post-workout, particularly for those of you who like going to the gym or exercise classes. It's got a naturally astringent aroma, which makes it beneficial for oils, toning the skin as well. Its woody aroma makes it popular in men's skincare and be found in beard oil and aftershave. This one is sourced from Spain. So one of the uses for Cypress is after the gym. So you could, using the same demonstration I did earlier, use a bowl of hand warm water and put a couple of drops of cypress oil in that. I would probably add something like a couple of drops of rosemary and maybe one of lavender in a bowl of this hand-hold water, and again use the folded flannel to cover any of the areas that are aching. You could actually make yourself your own aftershave oil blend. I would suggest in this instance you use something like a coconut oil or jojoba oil as your carrier oil, and I'd make it slightly larger than normal, so maybe 15 millilitres, and a couple of drops of cypress in there, and making it sort of much more of a male scent, adding in 2 drops of sandalwood and maybe one of bergamot as well. And you would apply this quite sparingly. Less is better in this instance, especially when it's things to do with the face. Okay, so if you are prone to allergies, do be aware on Cypress. It does have a cautionary note for those with skin allergies in particular. So be aware of that if you're planning to use Cypress. So the next essential oil is geranium, and in particular this one is Bourbon Geranium. So that's spelled Bourbon. So Bourbon Geranium. And a lot of the ones we've looked at so far have had that sort of herbal woody element. This one is much more powerful on the rose floral side. So the scent is balancing and calming, but also uplifting. So it has elements of both in there. So it has still got that sort of woodiness, herbal element to it, which makes it very much a middle note, but it's almost got like that powerful floral element, which puts it nearer the top end of the middle note range. So it's a good all-rounder, this one, geranium, and it's especially beneficial for skincare, including problem skin. The bourbon one is a superior oil with a much stronger aroma. There is a lighter version which is Egyptian geranium, but it's not got this quite powerful fresh rose-like floral scent that this one's got. The difference is simply that they're grown under different conditions, which gives them a different aroma. The oil itself is steam distilled from the geranium plant. This one in particular that I'm loving the smell of is from Madagascar. When you are using this oil, use it sparingly. It's got quite a strong aroma, particularly the Bourbon variety. So it is very strong. So if you're using it in a massage blend, for example, and you're using that 3-2-1 method in 10 millilitres of carrier oil, I would tend to use the 1 drop of geranium and then mix that in with, for example, 2 drops of lavender. And that might mix in well with mandarin if you want a top note in there. So 2 drops of mandarin, 2 drops of lavender and 1 of geranium. I think that would make a nice body massage blend. You could use it as a room fragrance, so literally 1 drop into an oil burner such as this one that I've got here. This is my favourite one because I just find it quite aesthetically pleasing from Absolute Aromas there, and I really like the fact that when you light this up it can help to create a whole room fragrance literally just with a drop of oil. Let's actually try that now. I can pop this oil burner on. And you almost get that immediate sense of uplifting with that as a room fragrance. So with this one, because it has such a strong aroma, do dilute it and be aware, obviously, if you're putting it anywhere near the skin, that it could cause a rash, so be careful with that. Less is definitely more in that instance when you're talking about geranium. So let's have a look at our next oil, and this is Juniperberry. And I'm learning about this one because it's not one that I've particularly used before, so this is a new one for me. And for those of you that like gin and tonic, the smell might be familiar there. It's got that bitter, sweet aroma that you find in gin and tonics. So it's well known for its powerful cleansing properties, which make it perfect for use in body care products, and helps to stimulate and support the body and the skin's natural detoxification process. So it encourages that process to happen. That's lovely. So the oil is distilled from the berries of the juniper tree, and it's a great oil for anyone who's feeling slightly sluggish or tired, as it naturally refreshes and invigorates the mind and body. Maybe I should have used this one instead of geranium in the oil burner there. So this one is sourced from Croatia, and it has many uses. It's great for creating a refreshing massage blend. I would do that with coconut oil and 3 drops of juniperberry. Would blend well with some of the top notes, for example grapefruit. A couple of drops of grapefruit in there would be really good. What you can also do with this is, if you get yourself some perfumed shower gel, you could add this in for a sort of morning pick you up, because this is definitely much more of a pick you up aroma rather than the relaxing side. It is unfortunately one of those ones not recommended for pregnancy or breastfeeding, and if you're taking high blood pressure medication, there could be an interaction with that. So do your research on that one, definitely, if you're planning to use it and you've got any particular conditions. But I really do quite like the pleasant aroma. It's got quite an uplifting feel to it, that one. Right, now that brings me to the last oil we're going to look at in this session, which is French lavender. And I think many of you would be familiar with this scent. It's best known for being really soothing and relaxing, and known to help calm and stabilise the mind. It's very much used in sleep products and designed to soothe irritability as well. It's also suitable for sensitive skin and is one of the ones that you can use in pregnancy, although I would recommend diluting it down. So it's steam distilled from the freshly cut flower tops of the lavender plant, and I've often seen images of these lavender fields, and I've been and visited Grasse in France, where I've actually seen one of these fields. The smell is it is lovely, but it's also quite overpowering. But lavender, it does have that sort of fresh, floral, slightly earthy aroma. It's got lots of naturally antibacterial elements to it, and that makes it very popular in things like skincare, body care, and obviously used in relaxing blends as well. This one actually comes from Provence in France, and it has lots of uses. And one is you could use it in a bath oil. You could do what I demoed earlier, just literally use a teaspoon, something like this. We could use I better use my porcelain bowl, otherwise the oil's going to seep into this wood. Right, so we could use our sweet almond oil again. Add in our lavender. And I would tend to use maybe, 1 drop of geranium. You don't need any more than that. And what I like to put in is a top note. We'll talk about top notes in another session, but this one's lovely. This is tangerine. Vibrant, bright yellow there. And that you could add just into your bath, which would give a really nice calming feel to that. You could also use it as a sleep enhancer. You could either, for example, get just a handkerchief or anything that you've got around. I just happen to have one of my cleansing mitts here, but you could actually just pop a couple of drops of lavender oil on that. That's lovely. And you could literally lay that on the pillow, and it's known as a sleep enhancer. Beautiful, lovely smell there. Now, I mentioned earlier that I was going to talk to you about these hydrosols, and I've got the lavender floral water hydrolate from Absolute Aromas here, which is lovely. I use this in particular for toning my skin after I've cleansed it, and use that to create a really good skin toner. It really cleanses the skin afterwards, and you can use it as a relaxation natural room spray. I've got a room spray here that you can use lavender in. You can see already it's used in a number of different products, so it's very versatile as an essential oil. Sometimes it's used on its own, sometimes mixed with other oils. And the more you get to know how these oils work with each other, the more inventive and creative you can be in creating your own home remedies as well. So that brings me to the end of this session on the middle notes. I have got more to cover. There are a large number of middle notes, so I will do that in another session. But it's also, but what I would also like to do is just give a reminder on doing some of your own research around this. When I was studying, I had to refer a lot to textbooks, and I still have some of those that I refer to now. But now there's much more information available at the touch of a button. Many of the providers of these essential oils, and I've got a number that I'm using here. I've got some Tisserand oils. I've got what's I got here? I've got my aroma oils, and obviously Absolute Aromas have been very helpful and sent me through some oils to try, which I'm absolutely loving, particularly those that I haven't looked at before, like the Juniperberry, for example. And I'm really enjoying that. But also on the websites of all of these brands, there is so much information. So many of these providers provide you with guidance notes, with aids and hints for what these oils can be used for, and that stimulates your interest further as well. Certainly does mine. Obviously, be aware on those sites, it will give you some cautions for some of the oils, and I think I've highlighted some of the ones in particular that you need to be wary of. But having said that, I do hope that this session will encourage you to use essential oils. They are full of benefits and therapeutic values, have a myriad of uses to help you. And rather than pay for expensive treatments, some of these treatments you can actually do yourself. And I hope that you will fully benefit from their uses as well. So thank you for spending this time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next session. Thank you.